Hello everybody and welcome to Crusader Kings II patch 3.2, The Iron Century. So, I'm obviously not going to be doing a full playthrough on this one because all of my playthrough slots are a little bit on the full side, so we'll just cover this in this exploration mode. So let's just go through all of the free features that they've added in this. As far as I can tell, there is no expansion with this patch. Or if there is, it doesn't appear to be out yet, and they don't appear to be talking about it, which is unlikely. So I'm guessing that there is not an expansion with this patch, but this patch is entitled The Iron Century, and its key new feature is this new bookmark here, 936 AD. So we'll select that era. On the 7th of August, 936, Otto I was crowned King of the Germans. He initiated his arduous campaign to crush his rivals and reconquer the lost territory in Italy to reform the Holy Roman Empire. The Magyars settled down in the Carpathian Basin and began to make their mark on the world as they conquered and pillaged their neighbors, becoming feared across Europe. In the north, the Christians were trying to push into the Scandinavian peninsula to start converting the pagan kings, but the German faith still stood strong among the Vikings. In Baghdad, far to the southeast, the ancient Abbasid Caliphate that once ruled an empire stretching from Persia to Hispania finally fell to infighting, left only with the heartland of their former empire. And on the shores of Africa, a new rival rose up in the form of the Fatimid Caliphate, ready to fill the vacant region left behind by their adversary. So this also includes a couple of new cultures. Specifically, let's hop into the custom game setup here real quick, and then hop into cultural map mode. Where is that? Here it is. Cultural map mode. So there is a new culture here, Sardinian, as opposed to just being Italian. There's also Sloveni, which I'm not sure where exactly that is, but I would guess it would be over in this area. Yeah, well that's Slovian. Is that the adjective version? Or do they just have an extra I in the patch notes? I think it's Slovian that's the new culture. There's also a new Shiite heresy called Karmation, which I'm not sure actually exists yet, but it probably would if we were to actually play. And there are also two primary areas of map reworks. That is specifically Portugal and southwestern Spain has been reworked here. So as you can see, the setup is actually substantially different. I like it. And then there are also two new navigable rivers right here, so you can actually send your ships into those rivers. And there is one new duchy and 3 new provinces. So going into the duchy map mode, I'm not sure which of these ones is new. I haven't played this area that much. But regardless, that's the new duchy somewhere in here, presumably. And there are also 3 new counties, presumably assigned to that duchy, but I don't know that for sure. I'm not an expert in this region. However, the Nile has also been made navigable all the way down to here, which is actually a huge deal. That means that these are all essentially coastal provinces, all the way up. Fascinating. That's a very big deal right there. Also, there are 7 new provinces and 3 new duchies in this region, which is always fun to see. And then they also added 3D models for the Hagia Sophia, but I mean, that's not a huge deal. Then there were a couple of interface changes with Great Works, some modding changes and bug fixes that we're not really going to get too into. Are there any bug fixes here that are particularly entertaining? Because sometimes that happens with Crusader Kings. Let's see here. Not particularly. Just a lot of bug fixes. Okay, so let's go ahead and hop back into the interesting characters and take a quick look at those. So new game, interesting characters. So obviously the first one is Otto I. Otto was crowned King of the Germans after the death of his father Henry I. Early in his reign, he had to push back a rebellion by Duke Eberhard of Bavaria, as well as fight a war against Louis IV of West Francia and Duke Gilbert of Lorraine. After securing peace in the war, Otto went on to fight for the Italian throne, as well as push back the Hungarian threat in the east. In his later years, after his coronation as the Emperor of the Holy Roman emperor, apparently. He is the emperor of the Holy Roman Emperor. Excellent. He had to continue his struggles in Italy to keep his newfound empire under control. The Ottonian dynasty went on to control the empire for almost half a century after his death, until it finally ended with the demise of Henry II in 1024. So he's kind of the reason that this time period exists. There's also Caliph al-Qaim, which they recommend having the Sword of Islam for. Al-Qaim followed his father, Caliph al-Mahdi, as he settled down in Afriqiya and established the Fatimid Caliphate. I imagine I'm completely butchering these. So, we're just going to keep going. In direct opposition to the Abbasid Caliphate in Baghdad, they filled the room left behind as the Abbasids had lost control of their peripheral regions. Early in Al-Qaim's reign, a large rebellion rose up in the west, led by Abu Yazid. I wonder if they simulate that, because I do know that there are a lot of new events relating to these things as well, and some new decisions, so that's all good to know. For several years, the Fatimid armies were pushed back as the rebellion grew ever closer to their capital in Mahdia. After Al-Qaim's death, his son and successor, Al-Mansur, finally managed to beat the rebellion back and take control of their lands once again. The dynasty would later go on to invade Ikshid Egypt. Ikshidid? I don't know, I'm butchering it, I'm sorry, and establish Cairo as the capital of their caliphate. And then there's also this guy, Aethelstan. As the son of Edward the Elder, he gained the Kingdom of Mercia after the death of his father, and Wessex after the death of his brother only weeks afterwards. That sounds convenient. Waging war against the Norsemen in York, Aethelstan pushed northward and took the city in 927, becoming the first king of a truly united England. 10 years later, in 937, hey, that's 1 year after this start date, a coalition led by the kings of Scotland, Strathclyde, and Dublin waged war against Aethelstan, which ended with the Battle of Brunanburh. With a decisive victory, it seemed Aethelstan had finally secured his rule in England, but only 2 years later he died, and was succeeded by his half-brother Edmund. Well, that sounds like a fun start. A lot of problems at the beginning of that one. So, Sword of Islam is also recommended for this next guy, Abu Tahir al-Janabi. Janabi, yes, we will go with that. Abul Qasim Said started the Quintarian faith. Oh, that's the Karmatian, actually. The Karmatian faith. That's the new Islamic heresy, centered around his capital in Al-Bahrain when the Fatimid Caliphate rose in the west. After his father's demise, Abu Tahir continued as the new leader and became infamous throughout the Arabian Peninsula for his raids into Egyptian and Abbasid lands. In 930, he pillaged Mecca, murdered the many pilgrims who had traveled there, and stole the Black Stone. After this sacrilege, the Karmatians became even more hated throughout the whole Muslim world, but that did not deter Abu Tahir as he continued the raids and assaults on his neighbors, until he finally died a decade later. Well, that guy sounds interesting if you want to play as an Islamic heretic. That could be actually an interesting game. There's also this guy. They recommend that you have the Old Gods for this character to play as. As the third Grand Prince of the Hungarians and successor to the legendary Arpad, again, probably butchering this, Zolta led their people for several decades in the early 10th century. Throughout this period, the Hungarians were feared raiders who traveled across all of Europe from Byzantium to Cordoba. That's quite a range. After his death in the year 950, only a few years passed until Otto I beat back the Hungarian raiders in the Battle of Lechfeld, putting an end to their tyranny. That honestly sounds like kind of a boring start. I don't know. Of course, I usually go for ridiculously boring starts. There's also this guy, though. Haakon I of Norway. Oh, and by the way, this last guy was of Hungary, this guy was Al-Bahrain, England, Africa, and Germany. So this guy of Norway here, Haakon I, was one of the many sons of Harold Fairhair, legendary king of Norway. When his brother Eric took control of Norway, not many years passed until his despotic rule made him unpopular to the point of rebellion. Haakon, who had been raised by King Aethelstan of England, hey, this guy, was sent back to Norway to take over the rule of the kingdom. As a Christian in a very pagan country, he had a long and tenuous rule over the many Norwegian tribes. Throughout his rule, he was threatened by the Danish king, who supported the claims of his grandsons, the sons of his half-brother Eric. In the end, Haakon fell ill as he repelled the Danes at the Battle of Fitjar, and was succeeded by his nephew Harold II Greycloak. Interesting. So these are the recommended starts here. And I think, just for the sake of seeing some of the events, we're going to play as Otto I, King of the Germans. And we're not going to get super far here. Let's see, I kind of just want all of the rules to be default. So, like, historical direction. There we go. Iron Century story events are on. Excellent. The various story events surrounding the Iron Century bookmark will be enabled. Let's go. Okay, so I'm not going to get too far, and I'm probably not going to try too hard here. We're just trying to see some of the events and some of the changes that they've made. One of the reasons why I'm not in Iron Man. Okay, so we are now in Crusader Kings II. Excellent, we've seen that before. We're playing a German Catholic king, so German cultural effects, no special features, feudal government, pretty standard stuff, and Catholicism, again, very standard. I'm not going to go too deep into that. Let's hop into political map mode and take a look at the starts here. So we've got West Francia over here, this up here is Lorraine, Arles down here, Italy, Bohemia, Hungary, pretty standard stuff. Denmark is up here, and also going to war. Okay, that's fine. Because I was going to say, if this is till the day we die, that's going to get claimed, but it's not, so we're good. The Fatimid Caliphate is down here. They have a few tributaries. The Abbasids are really not in a good place. So that's exciting, if you're the Byzantians. Interesting, interesting. I, of course, immediately notice Liao over here, and I'm just like, I must form the Capellan Confederation. But, that's not in this game. So England is relatively unified over here. Interesting. Norway is perhaps not as large as I would have expected. Mostly because of Nordland and Finnmark. And then, like, attacks Fithjod, perhaps. But our main focus right now is, of course, Germany. And we are playing as King Otto, who is the main character of this time period, I guess I would say. Prince Wilhelm is our son and heir. We are on Agnatic Elective. Interesting, interesting. So what do we have for decisions? We can form the HRE, and that's kind of what the goal is here. So the only thing that we really need to do is accumulate wealth, prestige, and be king of Italy, right? Well, how strong is Italy? Let's take a quick look at Italy. Italy has 6,000 troops available to them, which is not that much. So, I mean, we could go after it this way. We could do border disputes, all that nonsense. Or, let's see, who's his heir? This guy. So we could potentially... Can we just marry into that? I mean, we do have a daughter. Can we immediately do this? Like, arranged marriage. Apparently we don't have one available? She's not already betrothed. Let's sort by rank here. What is this guy's name? I want to marry her to Prince Lothair of Italy. Okay. So, Lothair. There he is. Would result in a non-aggression pact with the King of Italy. Now, I'm willing to bet they won't accept a matrilineal. Yeah, that's not going to be a thing. But the nice thing about this is this potentially gets us a weak claim. I don't know. I'm not sure that that's the best way to do it. Maybe wait until there's a female heir or something. What is Italy on for succession anyway? They're an Agnatic Gavelkind, so it's going to get interesting any way you slice it. Okay, well, let's just go ahead and for right now, I'm not going to worry too much about expansion. I'm just going to take some pretty standard ambitions and focuses, and we're going to go ahead and borrow some money. There we go. We can also expel the Jewry immediately, but I'm not going to bother with that. I think that, well, how much are we making in taxes? That's the question. 11.58 per month. So we would gain about 300 gold, but we would lose about 1 gold per month for, I mean, this guy is 23, potentially up to 60 years. Yeah, I don't think that's particularly worthwhile. I think we'll just leave it at that. So we only have about 7,500 troops that we can raise, and that's a bit of an issue. Let's take a look at our personal domain here. We are Duke of Saxony. So we only have this single duchy here. Do we hold everything in this duchy personally? We do not. We don't have this one. Our half-brother holds this duchy, or rather this county here. And our Prince Bishop holds Verden. Interesting. What's the state of our castle? Decent, but not amazing. Interesting. Very interesting. Children are lacking childhood focus, but that's okay. I'm mostly interested in seeing some... Oh, wow. That's a lot of titles that can be created from the get-go. Like, I understand why the kingdom titles haven't been created. Unless you just want to hold them all yourself, but even then that would get a little awkward before you have an empire title. And we don't have an empire level title. But even so, create some of these duchies, probably. Well, actually, you're at a pretty low vassal limit. I don't know, maybe you don't create any of these. At least not yet. We can set our crown focus, and I'm going to go ahead and set it in our capital of Magdeburg. There we go. And we need a designated regent, this guy will do, and a court physician, this guy will do. Okay, I'm just going to tick forward and see about getting some events here. So Swabia has declared war on Upper Lorraine. This guy is inviting us to dinner. He's probably not going to poison us. Oh look, there's an instant revolt. Okay, so Thankmar's Rebellion. This is a scripted revolt. Excellent. It seems my beloved older brother, Thankmar, that's the guy who held the... Okay. has raised an army to topple my rule over the Germans. Though a surprise to everyone at court, the man has always had an ambitious streak. After a couple of minutes to process all of it, I give the order to prepare our troops to fight our fellow Saxons. It's a tragedy that it has come to this, but it seems like there is no other choice. Let us just hope they will not be more lords flocking to his cause. You too, Thankmar? Okay, so Thankmar has rebelled. And this is a standard thing. This is guaranteed to happen, or very close to it. Up here, we've got... Is this a separate rebellion? Duke of Franconia, Count of Oldenburg, Ostfriesland, and Helden. So technically, no. They're just... They are different members of this rebellion, and so they're colored differently, I guess. Interesting. Very interesting indeed. Well, let's raise all of our levies that we can. These guys are going to instantly die, which is a little unfortunate. We'll go ahead and group these guys up over here. And then all of these guys over here, I want to group up in Magdeburg. And then these guys down over here can just group, I guess, over here. And this is going to be an interesting little rebellion. Well, let's take forward and see what ends up happening here. Just how difficult is this rebellion is something that is probably relevant. We have a new heir. We will play as Prince Rudolf. Oh, and it's Wilhelm again. Excellent. Okay, so their number of troops is surprisingly low, actually. I feel like we can handle this. So let's get these guys up over here. And let's immediately march into here. And I want to be grouping up these guys over here. If these guys attack this army, we're kind of screwed. So, to that end, I'm going to group up this army and we're going to walk... No, I don't want to join a society right now. We're just going to walk directly up to here. And then these guys are just going to kind of loop around over here so that they're kind of in a position where they can come help, but not necessarily immediately help. And then once we have this force here, up here, then we can attack into this. In fact, let's go here. Let's go to Oldenburg. Oh, we are carousing. Excellent. Perfect timing for carousing. Aren't you leading troops? You are leading troops. Excellent. Okay, let's play. Hail to the king. We won. Fantastic. Okay, so they're going to beat us on this siege. I'm actually going to attack straight into them with everything we've got. And we're just going to see how this plays out. Let's see. We could be a game master. Sure, we'll be a game master for now. So they've got mostly... Actually, they've got about a split between light and heavy infantry. Which, so do we. So we'll just see how this plays out. I mean, we should be able to win this pretty handily. Since they allowed us to group up all of our troops. Yeah, there we go. Their morale is just collapsing. That's what I like to see. The Battle of Paderborn. It has been ages since I felt so invigorated by a battle. Every day our unit is moving as if connected by some unspoken bond, I exclaim eagerly one night, or a higher power of some kind. This is all you, my lord, one of my soldiers says, a look of genuine surprise on his face. So we could be proud and gain brilliant strategist, or we could gain humble and gain brilliant strategist, and I'm gonna go for humble, I think. Pride would get us prestige, but monthly piety, same trade opinion. Let's go. Okay, so we captured this guy, the heir to the German revolt, in that particular battle. And I think we're going to split our forces at this point and siege 2 locations. Since their forces split as well. And these guys are marching back in. Let's see where they're going here. Okay, they're going into Minden. I kind of want to let them lock in. They're now locked in. And in we go. These guys are walking to Weimar, which we'll need to deal with them as well. Oh, they're actually turning around. Okay. If they lock into Würzburg here, we'll go after them. There we go. Fantastic. I would say that this war is pretty much in the bag. The Battle of Minden. This campaign has been easy pickings. Swinging my sword over the plains is a pleasure, and my fellow soldiers are equally jovial, surrounded by the blood of our German enemies and the cries of battle. Look! Enemy Commander Mayor Amadeus is hiding! Someone suddenly shouts, pointing off in the distance. So we can duel this guy. Do we want to? Personal combat skill is 26, and his is 16. We are substantially better than him. We'll give it a go. The enemy commander is not playing fair and has me completely cornered up against a large rock. Behind him, a group of his soldiers are moving closer. They're laughing, mocking me, thirsting for blood. Well, we don't want to be imprisoned. We could betray this guy, or we could just die. So that did not go well at all. We'll betray this guy because, I really don't care. I just want to see how this war plays out. So we are now the traitor. So that's excellent. Okay, so we crushed their armies again. And we captured a mayor in battle. Fantastic. And their armies are just shattered at this point. There's not much they can do. We're just going to keep chasing them down with this force while we siege up here. And we should be able to stack wipe several of these forces. We'll lose some prestige. Again, I don't really care about the long-term outcome here, since I'm not planning on playing this for too much longer. I just want to get a taste of the Iron Century. These guys are living surprisingly long. Okay, we can make our wife happy, and sure, we'll do that. 1.8 gold, that's not a problem. The conversion of Hungary. The tribes of Hungary have been converted to the Catholic faith. A group of priests sent by the King of Arles have performed a great ritual, during which they have converted the entire population of Hungary, alongside Grand Prince Arpad Zolta and many of his vassals. He is, of course, one of the other interesting starts. This must be another event that he gets. With this act, the people of Hungary have once and for all forsaken their old pagan gods? Okay. Their old pagan gods. Wow, he actually could have stopped that army from marching there, but chose not to. Okay. Our wife will give birth under auspicious stars. Excellent. Things quickly get out of control as my soldiers storm the gates of Braunschweig. Killing indiscriminately and sacking every building they come across, they seem to have lost all sense of discipline. So, we could lose the castle walls. Ah, so 5% of our troops would die. So this is like the decimation event in Imperator. Okay, I gotcha. I'm okay with it. Okay, I don't think they have enough troops left to be a threat to anybody. So I'm just going to let them wander around at this point, and we're going to siege. Although if they're going to park right there, if they bring in their other force, they're locked in now, which means we... Not now event, which means we go. Excellent. Now they have 697 defenders, so assaulting isn't really an option. Wow, they keep changing their mind on who our heir is. Good job, electors. Okay, back to sieging. The city has a garrison size of 386. No, 799. Right. I gotcha. A daughter! Born to Otto the Traitor. Perfect. It was kind of a cowardly thing to do, but I just felt like... I mean, that was just bad luck. We do have a dangerous faction right now, and that's something we do need to be concerned about. We will threaten the vassal. We'll see if that works. Okay, it did work. Fantastic. I just want to wrap up this rebellion. That's all I wanted to. There's our siege of Marburg. And we're going to siege over here as well in a moment. At this point, I'm going to go back up to speed 5 just to get this war done. Oh, look at this. Denmark is actually attacking our rebels. That's interesting. Yeah, you can stop changing your mind on who our heir is. Like, seriously, that's not helpful. Okay, we're at 100% war score, so let's just end this. Enforce demands. It won't even let us offer white peace anymore? That's nice. Okay, we won that rebellion. Otto's victory. I look at Thankmar as he's brought to me in chains. My once great older brother looks haggard and tired as he stands in front of me. I finally ask the guards to take him away for now. No celebrations will be had, as this has been nothing but a tragedy for all of us. Though it was an appalling end, it was most likely the only conclusion we could have to this conflict. With the problematic lords of the realm quelled, it's time to look towards the future. There's still a lot to be done. Indeed there is, but I think, with that, I'm going to go ahead and put an end to this particular episode. As usual with a Paradox game, I am looking at playing another campaign of Crusader Kings, possibly single player this time, since I technically haven't done that yet. But as of right now, there's not anything open, so it'll be quite a while before that can happen. However, subscribe for more, and I will see you all next time.